Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I didn't even know the red part. I just looked at those stars.
I am ready.
Good evening and welcome everyone to the June 4th, 2024 meeting of the Lansing Charter Commission. Mr. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Certainly, Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Present.
Commissioner Boyd.
Here.
Commissioner Dowd.
Here.
Commissioner Jeffries.
Here.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Commissioner Cowie.
Present.
Commissioner Simon.
Present.
Commissioner Washington. There are 9 members present, a quorum, no members are absent.
Thank you. Now's the time to adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Support.
Moved by Commissioner Bauer, supported by Commissioner Boyd. On the motion, is there any comments, questions regarding the agenda that's before us?
I have a question.
Commissioner Washington.
Okay, what I'm wondering is where we have officer reports, chair, vice chair, and clerk. I guess I'm wondering what you're seeing your role as, because I can't imagine what you would have to report out on, because we're doing everything together.
That's correct. It's going to be mostly housekeeping stuff. I want to talk about the website, let everybody know that we have a website up. I was going to ask everyone tonight, I can do it during my report, but as all the members, that there's a spot, if you would send in a photograph and a bio, we can get that up on the website as well. Things of that sort.
You don't have to.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, you're welcome.
Chair?
Commissioner Boyd.
I can barely hear you, and I'm sure if I can't hear you, they can't hear you. So I would like
Sorry.
someone who's in charge of the microphone to turn it up, please. Thank you.
Commissioner Bauer? Okay, Commissioner Bauer? Same thing? Okay. All right, we're getting there. Okay. All right, are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, in favor of approving or adopting the agenda, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, nay. It passes unanimously.
Okay, we're to public comment, and we do have 3 people that had signed in ahead. We have Jack Alexander, followed by Candy Rice.
I'm here to speak to you again about LAFTA. I couldn't finish my what I wanted to say because I ran out of time last time.
City TV, can you, his mic isn't quite working, or Jack, you might not need to speak into it better.
And Jack, shouldn't you give us your name and address so that we know who you are?
Sure.
Thank you. Please.
Hello, that work? That works? Okay. Okay. Jack Alexander. I live at 734 Vance Street, Lansing, Michigan, 48906. I'm here to speak to you again about LAFTA. As I say, I ran out of time the last time I was here. I mentioned to you that I was lied to, and one of the instances was the security cameras. I was told that they were working, so I checked with the stadium operations director, and he told me, he says, Jack, I couldn't show you footage if I wanted to because they're broken. And of course, citizens cannot view surveillance footage. Also, and I reported this to the mayor's office. They did absolutely nothing. Then the money to replace the bleacher seats along the right field line, during that renovation time when they did the renovation, they ran out of money. And then I asked about the section in row 10 where the water stays. That's where I sit, and a lot of times, and still even today, I can't sit there after it rains because there's too much water in the row. And I asked, would this be fixed? And that was under the renovation during that time. They said it would be. It was not. Then there was $34,000 to $36,000 to extend the netting along the foul lines. So I waited and waited and waited. Nothing was done. I asked about it, and I said, where did the money go? Nobody had an answer. And right now, LAFTA is sitting on where they have on hand $2.1 million. They're supposed to be neutral. Where did the money come from? So they need to, again, as I mentioned to you prior, they need to be brought under the umbrella of the city government or done away with entirely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Candy Rice and then Mitch Rice.
Hi, I'm Candy Rice. I live in Ward 2 at Woodbridge Manor Apartments. I have 3 suggestions I'd like you to consider. Number 1, that those working for the City of Lansing also live in the City of Lansing. 2, that those appointed to Lansing City boards and commissions receive training in that field. And 3, that the City Council at Large position be eliminated in favor of 2 council members representing each of the 4 wards. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have Mitch Rice.
Hi, I'm Mitch Rice, Ward 2. You just heard from my wife, so you know that part. Just a short comment. It's important to do a comprehensive review of the city charter. Therefore, I'm pleased to see the plan in the stakeholder presentation proposal to obtain information from key people involved with the city as part of the Lansing City Charter review process. I look forward to providing input myself since I meet the criteria as a current member of the Lansing Board of Zoning Appeals. Additionally, I was an elected official as a Coldwater City Council member before moving to Lansing. Thanks.
Thank you. That is everyone who signed in, so it looks like we are done with public comment. We are to the approval of the minutes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Cowie moves and supported by Washington. Commissioner Washington. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those approved?
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. They are approved unanimously.
And we're to officer reports, the chair's report.
Yeah, just very briefly, I've already commented on most of the comments I'm going to make, and that is we do have a website for the public. It's lansingmi.gov/1233/charter-commission. We're in the process of building that website. There's a lot of good information on there right now, but we're adding things as we go. There is a spot on the website for the commissioners to have their bio and put some information about themselves up there as well as pictures. So if you could get that together, please send it in to the clerk's office and we'll add that to the website. And that's basically what my comments are.
Chair, can you repeat that address again, please,
Sure.
slowly?
It's lansingmi.gov/1233/charter-commission.
Is there a way to make that easier for people who want to access our website?
You can access it from lansingmi.gov.
Okay,
But,
easily.
but this is the direct.
Gotcha.
But unfortunately, the city's website naming stuff is peachy.
Thank you. Want to make it easy for people to get there. And is it up now?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Vice Chair's report.
Yes, good evening, fellow commissioners and citizens of Lansing. I am honored to serve as the Vice Chair of the Charter Commission. This diverse and dedicated group represents a cross-section of our community, and I have full confidence that together we will embark on a productive and collaborative process. In the coming weeks and months, we will take part in a comprehensive review process. This will involve public input sessions, historical context review, and comparative analysis. Transparency and open communication will be paramount during this process. We will utilize various channels to keep the public informed about our progress through the Commission meeting minutes, public forums, and a dedicated website. I encourage everyone to stay engaged and actively participate. I am confident that through open dialogue, through a thorough examination, and a commitment to the common good, we will generate valuable recommendations that will shape the future of our city. I want to thank Chairman Jeffries for his leadership and all the commissioners for your willingness to serve. I believe that together we can make a positive and lasting impact on the city. In conclusion, I look forward to working respectfully and collaboratively with all of you throughout this critical undertaking.
Okay, and for the clerk's report, so you've all been provided city cell phones and email addresses. I'm not sure who all has picked up those materials, but it is our intent that our office will only use those email and phone numbers to contact you unless you ask us to do something other than that. Please let us know. Also, unfortunately, at the next meeting, both Brian and myself are at a conference out of town, so Emery will be your representative. Zach, who was here at the last meeting, will be here to assist, as well as Kashava, who's in the back assisting right now. So you will be well taken care of, I'm sure of that. I wanted to take a minute and talk about the budget that was allocated to the Charter Commission, that was for the Charter Commission operations as well as the election. Just to give you a standing of where we are right now, $5 million was, I'm sorry, $500,000 was set aside for this commission that will carry forward beyond the city's fiscal year. So far, the expenses include the presentation from MML at the last meeting, as well as the expenses of the election are included in this, and so far $86,565.74 has been spent. So we have a little over $413,000 remaining. There are a couple more election expenses that aren't included in this. Those total around $1,200. And then things like the cell phone monthly have not been taken out of this yet as well. So the plan is to give you about a monthly update on where we stand with the budget. And I can also provide the finance office had come up with, where they got the $500,000 from, so I will share that with the commissioners as well. I think Chairperson Jeffries already said we would like a picture and a bio for the website, maybe a short bio, 1 to 3 sentences. And if you could send it to me with a carbon copy to Emery, that would be great. 1 to 3, we're just spitballing that, so. And then if you need a picture taken rather than providing one, please let us know. We can figure that part out as well. And then the other thing I want to note is the City Council staff has sent us some expectations of use of this space. Probably the ones most notable for commissioners is they have asked us not to use the room in the back or the hallway, which means if you need to use the facilities, we'll need to walk down through the chambers. So just wanted to share that with you. And then one final thing.
I just have to say this from council is insulting at best. Can't hear it. I said these instructions from the city council are incredibly insulting to me as a commissioner. Very insulting.
I don't disagree.
Thank you. And I think it is highly unprofessional that elected officials would issue this to other elected officials. And frankly, I find it disgusting.
One final note, there is an email address, chartercommission@lansingmi.gov, that is set up as a listserv that the public can use that will go to each of your individual mailboxes. Charter Commission lansingmi.gov. So again, it's intended mostly for the public to contact you. The Open Meetings Act caution of replying to that email address. So you may wish to reply directly to the constituent rather than to the group if it's something that's leading to a decision. Okay, and that's my report. And that takes us to unfinished business. We have the legal counsel RFP. This was provided to us by our city attorney. Obviously, there are blanks that need to be filled in, as well as the dates need to be adjusted. And I will turn it.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the RFP, maybe just for discussion purposes at this time, but we need to get something in front of us
So moved.
to discuss? It was moved by Commissioner Washington and approved by, or supported by, Vice Chair Simon, sorry. All right. So this is an issue that's before us. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Commissioner Bauer.
I admit that I just skimmed it. I mean, I didn't carefully read every word of the 19 pages or however many, but I didn't see anything about requirements. And we had talked, unless I missed that, but we had talked about perhaps, it was really with input from one of our citizens, Gil Winger, who was a city attorney, to be sure that we hired somebody with, he said 20 years of municipal experience, but is there any?
Yeah.
Or would that just be something that we would deal with as we get the proposals back?
Yeah, in the RFP, there is a request for, if it's an individual or law firm that's submitting the RFP, that they provide their credentials, their experience, their background. We would have, once we get the proposals, typically you'll read through them first, maybe make a paper cut, maybe not, but then eventually have the firm or the individual in for an interview. And at that point, we can ask questions and get to that information that you're looking for. Okay.
With all due
Commissioner-
respect, wouldn't we want to outline that even though we say your firm or your individual, your name and your experience, wouldn't we want to say specifically, we are looking for people with municipal legal background? I mean, it seems to me it would preclude a lot of people from applying that aren't going to be considered.
In the
I don't
description,
know why we wouldn't say it up front.
Yeah, it does.
And I think, quite frankly, not only did Bill Winger say it, but I think the MML said it as well.
Yeah, it does have experience in drafting and revising city charters. It talks about prior experience with charter commissions in the RFP. I mean, if you want to go through it, we can make it as specific as you would like. But it's mentioned several times throughout the RFP, some of those
I think it should
requirements.
mention municipals, personally.
If anyone has any language that they'd like to put forward, that's fine. If not, if you want, I can prepare something and bring it back to the next meeting if the body wants.
Well, I also hate to delay the process because we're already,
Well, one of the decisions that we'll have to make is how long is the RFP going to be out there? What's the request date to have it back? So typically, you see 3 to 4 weeks on something like that. And then there'll be another 2 or 3 weeks that we would take to review and interview before any kind of decision is made. So you're probably looking close to 2 months.
1st of August before we're
Yeah.
looking at someone else.
I think so. Other questions or comments? Commissioner Washington.
Since we are just starting this commission, I would ask Chair Jeffries that you ask people to raise their hand and wait to be addressed by the chair before they speak.
Okay. Proper decorum requires if you want to speak, please raise your hand. I will identify you, and then at that point, whatever the purpose is, that you raise your hand, you can state that. Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? So do we want to leave this under unfinished business? Yes, no? Commissioner Bauer.
Can you, So what page? 'Cause I could,
There's, on page 9, there's a reference, but I didn't reference them throughout, but there's
okay,
several
'cause
references. Commissioner Boyd?
I would recommend or acknowledge that you and the clerk have more experience in this than we do. I would personally be okay with you adding the appropriate language and moving this off the table.
Okay. One of the decisions that would have to be made is when do we want the RFPs back? But Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, as far as the RFP, if we have a couple of days, if we have some addition or language, because you're not going to do it in 2 days, right?
No.
No. So I guess if we want to send something to you for the RFP, I think we can do that, and then you can. I agree with Commissioner Boyd that that you folks can do that.
Sure.
But if we have any specific thing that we move on quickly and send it to you.
Commissioner Anderson?
I think my concern with postponing is, just reminding everyone we are on a short timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing that we don't meet again for another 2 weeks, that's pushing back the process another 2 weeks. That's going to push it back even further. And I do feel like there is specific language in here with what we're looking for. It mentions the Michigan Home Rule City Act, the Michigan Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, Michigan Constitution, our existing charter, and our ordinances. I think that that's sufficient language as far as what we're looking for.
Okay.
So.
Commissioner Boyd?
As for the length of time, again, I would defer to you and the clerk. I mean, what is the traditional amount of time that you give someone within this industry, shall we say, in time to respond? Is a week long enough? Is 3 weeks standard? I don't really know, but I think whatever is the accepted length of time is what we should go with.
Again, it's been my experience, it's typically 3 to 4 weeks for a turnaround. Commissioner Washington?
Although it may be easier to put things on you and the clerk as a commissioner of a commission, I am not comfortable with that we are going to have 1 or 2 people writing up important documents and deciding timelines. We are an entire commission. We are here to make decisions and vote. So although I may be comfortable with a draft of an RFP, I'm not comfortable with a draft and it just going out without having a complete review and a vote on it, because it goes against what a commission is and what we were elected to do.
Other comments? Is there Commissioner Dowd?
Is there an option, I mean, we're here tonight, is there an option to have this conversation right now to pick some of the language you want to see added into that, and then we approve this as amended with that language added? I mean, it's a pretty standard practice.
Sure.
You would approve an amended contract or RFQ, so, I mean, we've got time right now. Let's talk through what we might want to see in that language.
Works for me.
Okay. Commissioner Bauer?
since I'm the one who started this with, I agree that I'm comfortable with if people are comfortable with this. And then knowing that the next step when we interview, hire, that this commission would very much just hold true to the fact that we need someone with some good municipal experience. And we would have the opportunity, am I correct? Let's say we didn't get anybody with any, that's unlikely, but we could put it out again.
Yep.
So, I'm okay. It references it to me pretty vaguely, but it's fine. I mean, I'm fine with doing that because I agree that we need to get this moving.
Commissioner Washington.
Oh, you've been on this with me before. I'm okay. I'm actually okay with it being rather vague because it may expand the net a little wider, and we may be leaving somebody out that might be really good. So I am absolutely okay with that. I think as a commission, we need to decide what that timeline is. We don't put it on Commissioner Jeffries, and we certainly don't put it on the clerk. He's our record keeper, okay? So it is inappropriate for us to ask him to be doing things like that. But I am okay with that, but I think we need to set the timeline, and we need to set the timeline for the interviews. And to Ben's point, you know, that we not meet, and we don't meet in another 2 weeks, I'll talk about this later, but I think only having 24 meetings a year may become problematic.
Any other comments? I would like to just to say a couple of things. One, I think there's sufficient language in here in terms of Commissioner Bauer's concern to get a qualified firm or individual to apply. And I also agree with Commissioner Washington in the sense that you want to leave it a bit vague because you don't know how big the net is. You know, I think this is going to be a real small sector of lawyers that do this stuff. And so if you make it really restrictive in terms of the specifics that you request in the scope of service, then you may exclude something or someone from it. And I'm not here suggesting tonight that I'm going to set the dates or anything. I'm just telling you what my experience has been. There's two, I think, on page 9 and on page 10, there's 2 blanks that have to be filled in terms of the dates. So if we're willing to move forward and approve this as is, I think we should have some indication of when those dates, what the committee wants those dates to be.
Do you want to discuss the timeline before we approve this, or can we approve the RFP as written?
I would move forward with this as soon as you can, so we can get some attorneys on staff here to help us out. So, you know, my view, you know, if someone wants to make a motion on the time, I would do it 3 to 4 weeks out. You know, that we get this posted. I would ask the city clerk, if this goes through purchasing, we send this to them tomorrow. How long does it take them to put the package together?
I would assume at least 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
That's been my experience if we push them real hard.
Vice Chair?
I would like to propose that we set the timeline of 3 weeks from the date posted.
Sounds good. Is there any discussion on that amendment? Oh, it's been seconded by Commissioner Cowie. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor on the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes. Are there any other amendments or questions or concerns with the document? Vice Chair?
I would like to move that we accept the RFP as written and with the proposed timeline. I move.
It's been moved and supported by Vice Chair Adam Simons and supported by Commissioner Cowie. And this would be on the amended version of the RFP that we have. So with that,
And what
Commissioner
is the
Boyd.
date? Are we putting a date in?
It'll be 3 months from the date that...
3 weeks.
Or 3 weeks.
Are you going to do 3 weeks or 4? Because based on what you said, realistically, knowing how people work, probably next Monday it goes out. So if you do 3 weeks, that is July 1st. So it's a difference between July 1st and July 8th.
We already voted for the timeline.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
I thought we put a motion up. I didn't think we voted.
No, we
No,
actually
it
voted.
passed,
Oh, okay.
and we're on the
All right.
amended RFP as with the timeline attached. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
All right, then we are to new business, the community meeting plan.
Okay, so at our last meeting, Commissioner Lopez proposed that we schedule 4 community meetings, 1 in each ward. And it was mentioned, this was not part of the motion, but that we would look at doing them on Saturdays at noon. The staff has put together for us a list that you have that shows what those Saturdays would look like in relation to holidays, in relation to our other commission meeting dates, with an idea that we would select from that list. That was just a proposal. If we want to use some other day, we can do that as well. I'll open this up to discussion. Does anybody have any ideas? First of all, do we want to leave this for Saturdays at noon? These would be the community meetings. I had Commissioner Boyd first.
I never heard when we voted, and I voted for it because I feel very strongly that we should go into the wards. I never heard the Saturday at noon. I didn't hear that. I don't think it was ever discussed. Yeah, it was a thought you had, but it wasn't part of the motion.
Yeah, it was not.
Was it part of the motion?
No, it was not. I've indicated
was
it's not part of the motion.
Okay.
It was just, that was the whole thing that drove the creation of this document,
Right.
was that discussion.
So let me give my thoughts on
Okay.
the Saturday meeting. Now, I don't have a vacation home. I'm going to be, other than going to Scotland and Ireland, which is my father's homeland, I'm really going to be around all summer, so I really don't care. That's the first thing I want to make sure everybody knows. But I really don't believe, I'd be surprised if we have a great turnout on a Saturday in the summertime. People are busy. They're very busy, and not because I'm going to be around, but a lot of people go away during the weekend, on the weekends in the summertime. And I also think that there's we run the risk. We had a public comment tonight about things people want to see in the charter, and I'm assuming we're going to hear more. We want to hear more. But do we think that we're going to hear enough to warrant a meeting on a Saturday? I don't know the answer to that question. So while I might be open to some Saturdays, I don't know if I'd be open to having all of them on Saturday. That's what I
have Commissioners Washington, Cowie, and Anderson. Commissioner.
Thank you, Chair Jeffries. My thought is this. Same as Commissioner Boyd, people are not around on Saturdays in the summer, and if they are, they want to spend the time with their families. I personally am not in favor of any Saturdays because we have council members that have their constituent meetings on Saturdays. It really interferes with a lot of other city business. I would prefer that we pick another Tuesday night or a Wednesday night. We're only looking at 4 at this point, which I think is probably far too few. But I would suggest that we do it on a weeknight about 6 o'clock at night so that people can just come in and have their weekends to themselves. It's my thought.
Commissioner Cowie.
I just had a question, and again, I was kind of against the Saturdays also, but is it possible, if we're going to do this, especially at some of the neighborhood forums, to find out what their schedule is, and we attend their schedule so that we're not taking them out of place? They already have proposed schedules, usually for the whole year, the ones that I went to. Mm-hmm. So why not check, if we're only going to do 4, why not check with those forums, and then we come and address them at their own schedule?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson.
I like that idea. I also want to say, though, I am not against Saturdays. I think as a person who attends a lot of community meetings, people show up. And when we're talking about people that are the most marginalized, it's possible that Saturdays just may work better for them. Honestly, I go to meetings probably almost every night of the week, including Saturdays. And I know I'm built a little bit different, but I do think that it's warranted to just keep Saturday as an option, even if we just do one for the whole year. But I do think that it is worth the effort of trying to meet people where they're at and show up. And weeknights just may be difficult for a lot of people, so.
All right, so what I'm hearing is possibly 1 weekend, 3 weeknights, 6 o'clock, arrange it, align it with some existing neighborhood association meetings. Okay, Commissioner Lopez.
Yes, the Third Ward citizen contact is very well attended, so that would be a good one to be at.
Okay.
I think that we have one at the Schmidt Center, one at Geyer, one at Foster, and I guess the third would be Kingsley. Let's, I'm sorry, it's Kingsley, Let's. So I think we could check which community groups meet, and I think Wednesdays would be the other day that's good, because it's in the middle of the week, and people can plan that. So
Okay.
I would recommend that we talk to City Councilman Hussein to work with him on his contact meeting.
Okay, so would the Commissioner Dow?
Yeah, just to confirm that a little bit, I think, we've heard, most of us, from our council members that want to be part of this. Like, if they're already holding meetings, it makes perfect sense that we work with them to say, when is your meeting? Can we attend this and make this part of the agenda? That to me is a no-brainer. And then if there is an opportunity for us to call together maybe a larger, on a Saturday, maybe that's more community-wide driven, that where folks, if they aren't able to show up on a weeknight due to obligations. But if these meetings are already happening, people are less, in my mind, it'd be harder pressed to get them to attend 2 in a week than one they're already planning to go to. And I would love to have that opportunity to involve our council members as well in the work they're doing and helping support their wards.
But I think Eno meets on Wednesdays. Am I wrong? Yeah, Eno. And they usually have a good crowd as well. That's at Foster Community.
Commissioner Anderson?
I also want to clarify, I feel like maybe we're talking about two different sets of meetings. Are we talking about the council's constituent meetings or like actual like neighborhood group meetings? Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Clerk Swope?
Thank you. I do just want to point out that this is a public body that has rules and statutes that have to be followed regarding public comment, notice posting, and various things that don't necessarily mesh with an existing meeting of a group. I'm not sure how to work the logistics of that. So there may be an aspect of commissioners attending these groups and asking for input that is not a commission meeting. Just throwing that out there.
I have Commissioner Bauer and then Commissioner Boyd.
Not to that complication, but I think we also have to really publicize, when we publicize these, so that people don't get the feeling they can only go to one in their section. That people realize that it's open to anybody in the city, but that we're going to 4 different wards. Because and then I think it would be, if they're different times and days, we can hopefully hear from anyone who would like to share their thoughts.
Commissioner Boyd.
I think you raise a very good point, but I would also say that even like our council has a committee of the whole before its regular council meetings on Mondays, maybe what this commission could do is piggyback on the days and nights or the times that they have those meetings and do a meeting like in advance. Like, for example, I'm not familiar with the neighborhood groups to know what time they meet, whether they meet at 7, 7:30, 6:30, but maybe we could meet for an hour before they meet at their location in advance of their meeting so that we could abide by all of our rules but still take advantage of the fact that it's on people's calendar that that's the night they meet. Just a thought.
Anybody else? Okay, so at this point, would the commission want, if we refer this back to the clerk's office and ask that they put together a proposed schedule with 1 meeting on a Saturday and 3 on a Wednesday, is what I'm hearing, and try to line it up as Commissioner Boyd had indicated, kind of piggyback on some existing neighborhood meeting, and then break it down 1 meeting into each ward. Commissioner Boyd.
I think that's fine. I would also encourage everyone who's going to be doing the looking to look at all the other things that are going on. Like, for example, we have Saturdays in November and October. I have football tickets. I go to football games. And Ohio State plays in East Lansing on September 28th. I already know that. So I'm not coming to a meeting that day. No offense. So I just urge you to take a look at everything that's going on those days. Thank you.
Okay, let's do this. Let's ask the clerk's office to go back and put together another list for us and then bring it back at the next meeting. Commissioner Washington?
Commissioner Jeffries, I think everybody should acknowledge the fact that not everybody is going to make it to every community meeting, and if your personal life gets in the way of commission, or commission gets in the way of your personal life, just don't go.
Commissioner Adams?
I would just like to say, I think the proposal by Commissioner Boyd, when she said we can schedule time an hour before the
Right.
neighborhood association, I don't think, as a commission, we should infringe upon their time, because their schedule is a certain time, like at 6 o'clock, people have things to do to get from work. So are you saying we're coming at 5 and making people come at 5? I don't
Well,
think it's fair to
you know,
infringe upon their
at this
time and
point-
decide how the
I
meeting's
don't
gonna
think
go.
we know the answer, Commissioner, I think that's a valid point, and I don't think we know the answer, because I
Yeah.
don't know what time their start times is.
Well, I
would not
do.
expect anybody to come at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah, so, and I wouldn't want to infringe on their meeting time, but I don't know their meeting time.
All right.
All right, all this is a proposal. Let's see if we can put something together and bring it back, and we'll have something that we can actually look at and try to make a decision. Commissioner Lopez?
Thank you. I think if we speak to the, like to Commissioner, Councilman Hussein, I think he would be very willing to work with us.
Yeah.
Okay? And probably hand us the meeting if we ask. I think Eno would probably do the same, hand us their time slot to have this meeting, because they're interested in this, okay? So, if we can work that out with them, I think
Yeah.
we could, have our agenda and all protocols and so on and so forth. So I think that's workable. The last thing is we can just say, okay, we can work with them and just schedule a Saturday and 4 Wednesdays, and then just go along and publicize it as much as we can. Because, I mean, it'd be nice to have a cooperative working relationship with everybody, but, times may be an issue. But I think we should at least contact them to work a partnership with them and the community.
Okay, without objection, then, I'm going to ask the clerk's office to put together a list that will have 3 Wednesdays, 1 Saturday, talking with the various groups out there, 1 in each ward. Is that sufficient for everyone? Okay, thank you.
We will do so. All right. Stakeholder presentations plan.
Okay, this is a document that, again, the clerk's office has prepared for us. It's only a draft. And we're trying to begin the process of identifying the stakeholders that we want to invite to our meetings and some of what would be the interested parties, whether they're local, they could be part of the city staff, part of city council, they could be the chamber, they could be labor, and neighborhood groups, et cetera. The purpose of this is to start slotting some of these groups and putting them into our calendar for our Tuesday meetings. And so we can start getting the invitations out and asking them to come in and talk to us about their views of the city charter and any changes or any amendments that they would like to make. This is just to initiate some discussion about this. This is not inclusive of all of the stakeholders or groups that we want to talk with. It does not deal at all with any of the MML groups that they said that they had a list of other communities that are going through this. We can certainly add to this, but I think we need to begin and start the process of putting these groups on our calendar and begin those public hearings here in the chamber. So with that, I will just open it up to any conversation or comments that anyone has. Commissioner Bauer.
I think it's the beginning of a really good list, but would we envision that as part of our meeting, we would invite the stakeholder groups to come
Yes,
and then,
present.
okay, so that would be, thank you.
Commissioner Cowie.
My question is, if the stakeholders come, are they going to give a say it says a written proposal, what is this, a formal? Something formal?
We could do anything you want to do. So, I think it would be nice if they put something in writing, so we have, a formal statement that we can refer back to.
Mhm.
We're going to have the minutes, and we'll also have the tapes that will be available as well. I think, we've got to decide in terms of time, how much time will be allotted to the groups. I mean, it depends on how many groups we're going to have that night, how much time is going to be available. I think we'll give them the opportunity if they want to come down and present to us, or if they just want to submit a written document of some sort indicating what they're concerned. Yeah, turn it in.
Sorry about that. What would be the time frame we're looking at?
In terms of how much time they get, or?
No, how much time to turn this in? Like, say we give a 90-day reprieve. After 90 days, we're not going to set anything because we're going to try to make.
We could look at some time limits. I think it's going to be a matter of an invitation going out from us to the group saying, here's your opportunity. Please come on down and talk to us, or the alternative is this, and please turn it in by this time, something like that. We can put that together. Commissioner Washington.
Okay, I'm going to be the one that is going to say it. I didn't ask for chamber or labor endorsements, and I did it for a reason. This is the People's Charter. And we want to send out special invitations to special people to come and make special reports when we have now told the public they can only have 3 minutes at the microphone, and they can show up to one of our 4 community meetings. How about we put 4 meetings out and they can show up to one of them? This is the residents' charter. We're talking about business people and union people that come in and make their money and leave the city. So I'm just saying, I have a problem with the optics of this. It was the people that voted to open the charter, and I'm not real sure I care what the chamber and the labor unions had to say.
Well, that's your choice. But this is a commission, and I think we've made it very clear we're going to be open and inclusive of everybody and everybody's concerns. The chamber is a business, represents businesses. They can have businesses come down. Or even development. I mean, we have a bunch of development that's going on and needs to be addressed, so.
Thank you. And you made my point, and I know they endorsed you, and I'm just saying, we're giving them a whole lot more privilege than we're giving the residents of the city.
I appreciate that, but this list is preliminary. If you have groups or stakeholders that you want to add to it, please bring it forward. This is not an attempt to limit anybody or any group. What we're trying to do is to bring this out, have this discussion. If you have other groups or other stakeholders that may have some interest in this, please let us know. We can start putting it on the list and then start scheduling it, because again, we only have a limited number of these meetings. So, Commissioner Anderson. You're good? Okay. Commissioner Boyd.
I guess I'd also like to point out that while this is as you say, a preliminary list, and I consider it a preliminary list, I don't consider it all-inclusive. For example, I would assume Pat Gillespie's going to want to come down and talk to us. He's got a lot of buildings going on in Lansing. And he's not, he might be a member of the chamber. I don't know. The chamber endorsed me. I'm not a member of the chamber. I don't even know what the chamber wants, to be honest with you, because we never had that conversation. So I think this is a good starting point. I don't think it's an ending point by any stretch of the imagination. I hear what the commissioner is saying about individuals having 3 minutes and then organizations maybe having more.
Yeah.
But again, I think they represent more, and I think we can put a limit on those presentations. Maybe they're 10-minute presentations. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I think they're more than an individual. And I also want to point out that while we put a 3-minute limit on individual presentations to this board, this chair has the opportunity to extend that 3-minute time limit if somebody is saying something that needs to be said. We heard from 3 people tonight. I took notes. I thought they had good comments. They were well within 3 minutes. I've heard people when I watch government TV and I see people talk before the council, and they ramble on for 3 minutes and they don't say anything, quite frankly. And so I'm glad that the 3 minutes is up. So I think we have an opportunity to play with the time frame, but I think to have presentations is not a bad idea. So there you go.
Okay, Commissioner Anderson, did you? No? Yes? You want to step in this?
I feel like this conversation is becoming a little problematic. I think to like name Pat Gillespie as someone who is warranted more time to speak than a resident. I'm just using that as an example. Yeah, like if he has something to say about the charter specifically, he can come down for public comment just like anybody else. And so I think that there are some stakeholders on this presentation proposal that are valid. I think there are others that maybe don't make as much sense to me specifically. But I think, yeah, like I'm open to having this conversation. So that's all.
Commissioner Lopez and then Commissioner Dow.
Thank you. I don't think we need to get bogged down on this. I mean, we can invite anybody as commissioners to come and give us a written statement of what they want to see in the charter and make their 3-minute presentation. And then we can just receive any, I mean, this is just a starting list. But we have the ability to invite others.
Right.
And we're inviting others through our televised meeting. So I think we should just move on and the fact that we want to listen to our community, regardless where they fall in the pecking order or if there's a pecking order or not, but just from folks that represent themselves or an organization, like, for example, a homeless community and homeless organizations. So, I mean, there are a lot of special interest groups that need to speak to us in terms of what they like to see in the charter. So I think the door's open for anybody.
I have Commissioner Dowd, Boyd, and then Bauer.
All right, so I think this whole proposal of folks is cringy. I think we have we post our meetings. Everybody's welcome to come. We should encourage statements to happen. People can submit a written statement to us at any time. Anybody can show up here and make public comment whenever they want. But to invite a list of folks to come and talk, I think we as a commission need to do a good job of inviting everybody to the table. And I think making a list of, let's make sure we hear from these 6 people is cringy to me. And I don't think I wouldn't support that.
This, again, if I can just emphasize here, one, this is just a starting point. And I'm trying to solicit from all of you folks, what are the groups and people you want to hear from? So we can take that effort to go out and bring them in, to actually reach out and touch them and say, hey, come down and talk to us. This is not a final list at all. It's just a starting point. And so I would encourage all of you to put names or a list together of people, groups, whoever it is you want to hear from, and give it to us. Let's put it on the list. Let's add it. I don't want to subtract from it. Let's add to it. And then we can send out notices, invitations, whatever it is you want to call it, and get them down here so we can hear from them. So, Commissioner Bauer. Enough? So, Commissioner Boyd.
I think some of what transpired here is what I had sent to you, Brian, because there are certain people I do want to hear from. I want to hear from past council people, and I want to hear from present council people. Carol Wood spent, 24 years on the council here in Lansing. I want to know what she has to say. I want to know what the former mayor of Verge Bernero has to say. I want to know what the former mayor, Dave Hollister, has to say. I know that one of the people who worked for Dave Hollister, who had a sign, one of my signs in their yard, wants to talk to me because that person has ideas. I know there are city employees who have ideas. So I want to hear from all those people, and some of those people are on this list. And again, as a courtesy, I think I included the chamber on my list, but only because out of a courtesy. So I think there are people I want to hear from. One of the things we haven't talked about tonight, and I realize we have open meetings to deal with, but I want to know, how do we hear from those people? Because I do not expect, with all due respect, and I could be wrong, I don't expect former Mayor Hollister to come down here and stand before us and tell us in 3 minutes or less what he thinks should happen with the charter. Nor do I think former Councilwoman Woods should have to do that. But I think we want to hear from them. So how do we do that and still abide by our open meetings commitment? So those are the kinds of questions I have, and I haven't seen anything address anything. We have not addressed any of those issues tonight. And I would go further and say city employees, current city employees, I mean, geez, they're on the front line. They have to have ideas about what we are doing right or wrong in this city. And yet, you know, their jobs are on the line. Let's be honest. I've worked in government. I know how that works. So do we expect them to come down and make a formal presentation?
Yes.
I don't know. I guess we do. But it's concerning to me.
Commissioner, or Vice Chair Adamson.
Chairman Jeffries, thank you for putting this proposal together. This is a list of stakeholders, but we have to realize every resident in the city of Lansing is a stakeholder. They have the opportunity to come and speak before us. If Mayor Hollister is unable to speak, he may send a representative, but we're not going to set aside different meetings for these special stakeholders. Everyone knows the work we're doing. As commissioners, we should go out in the community, invite these individuals. If you want to hear from somebody, invite Pat Gillespie down. Whoever you want to hear from. That's your job as a commissioner. But that everyone is a stakeholder.
Commissioner Bauer.
And I think it would be, though, appropriate and important with everybody in the city to be sure they know they're invited. But with the groups, some of these groups that are listed, I also think of the faith community. We have a very strong faith community in our city. But that would people be okay that we send something, a general notice? The commission is meeting, here's our schedule, we're getting, especially wanting input for our first 3 months, well, that's what the MML suggested. We're meeting on these days, public comment is at 6, we urge you to come down, share with you. But even some of our former elected officials might not, or like a county commissioner, if we don't make an effort to invite them, they might, I don't even mean invite them, let them know about it. People are busy. They might not even think we really want their input. So I think it is important, as well as again, we need to make every resident feel we would love your input, whether it's at a community meeting. So maybe, you know, if we would reach out to everybody, but I really would like to reach out to groups that are stakeholders, and like I say, perhaps add faith community. Mm-hmm. Educators, just to know that here are the dates, here's the times, here's how we're doing this.
Okay, I think we've beat this horse enough, so here's again, this is the starting process of identifying stakeholders, and if you have specific individuals or groups, entities, whatever, that you want added to the list, please, you know, send them to the clerk's office. Copy me on that if you would, please. And we'll just keep developing this list as it goes. But that said, with the limited number of meetings that we have to start slotting these people in with the time frames, or with the time that we have. Commissioner Washington, then.
And just very quickly, there's some groups I'd like to see off this list. Can I also send that to you?
Sorry?
There's some groups on here that I would like to see off the list, such as the Chamber, because they have been buying our seats and running our city for far too long. So I will also add ones that I would like to see taken off.
All right. Go
From
ahead.
trying to be inclusive, I would disagree with that proposal. But let me bring something else up, since you said it. I asked you when I should bring it up, and you said
Yeah.
the stakeholder conversation. So I think what I've heard here tonight is we want to make sure that everyone in the community understands that they're invited and welcome to come down and talk to us, tell us what they like, what they don't like about the charter. but I think that has to go out in a press release. I see that the city pulse is here tonight, but it has to go out in a press release. We have to get it out there, and that brings me to the next issue, is that how is this commission going to be communicating with the public? And I bring it up because we have had a situation, we have a website, I think we need a Facebook page, I think we need a social media policy. As a commissioner, I've had to correct another commissioner for inaccurate information that was on Facebook. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the Facebook police. And I think we have to have someone, maybe it's you, Brian, maybe you're the spokesperson for the commission. I don't know. But I think we need a spokesperson, I think we need a Facebook page, and I think we need a social media policy. And I'm bringing it up because you told me this is where I should bring it up.
Yeah, I think I was wrong. So, I think, again, we're on this document right now. We can talk about Facebook and everything else later in the meeting. So, Commissioner Cowie.
I will talk about the Facebook when we get to it.
All right, Commissioner Bauer.
The other thing, and it's not really, it may not be appropriate to discuss here, but in terms of as we do our advance work and gather information and stakeholders, I really urge us to, we have wonderful resources here with Michigan State, professors, researchers, and in some way, I would like to draw on Lansing Community College, but some of their expertise and recommendations. We invite them to come down. Yeah, so I mean, I just would like, as we take a look at a schedule, and I would favor in that respect that it would be part of our fact finding, and we'd have to, all of us agree that we would have someone, but just to talk in general, kind of look at other cities, some of the research they've done.
Well, if you have identified, check it out and let us know.
Okay.
Commissioner Lopez.
Thank you, President. I just want to point out one small thing, is that when we talk about representatives of groups and organizations, we're asking them to give us a written, statement. So they don't need 10 minutes, because it'll be in a written statement. And I urge other community folks to do the same, because we can retain that written statement. Or they can just say what they're going to say in 3 minutes, and then it'll be in the minutes. But that's just the point that I want to make, is that anyone who's representing any group or organization or any citizen can give us those written comments, so that we can, review them as we continue to review the charter.
Okay.
So I think everybody's welcome, and little things here and there. Let's just don't get bogged down on all that. Okay.
Commissioner Cowie.
That's my point.
I just wanted to make a comment. If you read further down from the bullets that he has, he did add on there that the list does not preclude the chairperson or majority of the Charter Commission to invite any other individual or organizations to provide representatives to speak for the charter. And then also those following categories of individuals would be able to receive a request to provide the written remarks only. So he did not exclude anyone. Just because that list was on there, if you read further of the document, he did include everyone. So that's how I look at that. So not just the bullet points that were listed on there.
Thank you.
So, and also too, I don't think that we should, well, again, you have to read the whole document. Then also too, I don't think not to say, but anyone on the list could have their stake. Just because they have a written request doesn't mean it's something that we factor in. So I would not like to exclude anyone from that list. That doesn't mean that anything that they offer, that it was up to us 9 to see if that was valid or not, the information that they bring forth.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're done with that issue.
Oh,
sorry.
It is not about the list at all in regards to that, except as we are talking about sending out invitations, I would like to make sure that we're all in agreement on what that looks like. So I really liked what, Commissioner Bauer was saying about, inviting folks and posting. And I think for me, when I envision that, it's not an invitation to come do a presentation to us, which I think is where this conversation kind of started. In my mind, it's making sure that we're getting the information out to the relevant folks and letting them know, please share this with your community and your group. And that's our way of grassroots spreading our word out. So before anything goes out to any group, or if we're sending additional people to you, I think it's important that we all agree what this invitation looks like.
Sure. We can do that. All right, next item, please.
Okay.
Please, next item.
I don't know, this one might not be any better.
I know.
So this was just, this is the, this isn't on the agenda. Community feedback form. Oh, I guess it is. What this is, and it was a little bit part of, actually, sorry, that was actually tying more to the public forums. The community feedback form, right? Okay.
Yeah, this-
Okay. So. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So, in not to limit what people talk about, but it seemed like there were 3 or so topics that y'all wanted specifically maybe to hear from folks on. So this is just trying to elicit that, not limiting people to that, but saying if they have an opinion on that, they could put that in, particularly when we're doing the community forums. So, yeah, it's just like, hey, if you want to hit on these things in addition to whatever you're talking about, and if you, I guess, since it kind of got lost from what it was originally part of, and this is a draft from my office, maybe it makes sense if you have responses to this to just email suggested changes.
I'd be happy to email you suggestions, because quite frankly, I heard about other things. Should the city attorney be hired rather than appointed? I'm reluctant to put anything this specific in front of people. I think people, if they come, they should have ideas about what they want or not want. I don't think we should put words in their mouth.
Well, I think the purpose and intent behind this was, and again, draft. The purpose behind it was to kind of create, we could have a big board up there with questions on it. It was trying to elicit some, have the folks see that and have them start thinking about these issues, and then that might elicit some sort of comment from them, but to help start the conversation. It's not the be-all and end-all to all of this. And so if you don't want to do it that way, we don't have to do it that way. But we'll send in any questions you may have. Next item.
Okay. So the charter review process, we started trying to put together for you kind of an outline of, because one of the things that I felt like we heard at the last meeting was you didn't want to go too far on a lot of things before you had your community input meetings. And yet we don't want to not do anything until we have the community input meetings. So we tried to kind of do a rating of chapters of the current city charter, and after my staff put in a fair amount of time on it, I realized that what we had was not going to be helpful for you. So a couple of thoughts. Rather than trying to prioritize, and this is just an idea, you could go through the charter sequentially as it appears, and if there are any items that you feel like, wait, we shouldn't make a decision on this, we can just pass it by. And that way there are some parts of the charter that you may not feel need to be touched at all, and we can kind of check them off the list. There may be other parts that may need, that don't really need a tweak, but if we change another part of it, it will need a tweak. There may be a bigger change that would impact it in some way. So even though something's checked off, it might still need a little bit of review, but it would just give the opportunity to kind of knock some things off the list.
I think the other thing that we discussed was that, I think in the material that the Michigan Municipal League gave us, it talked about creating a timeline for your entire process and having an end date. And because we've missed 6 months, 7 months of our time already, we're going to be in a real crunch. And they, in their materials, indicate that we should be looking at a time span of about 18 months for the first review. And again, that would be for the first vote. And then after that, we would have 2 other votes, and everything has to be done by, I believe, November of '26. And so if you look at that 18-month period of time and you look at the election dates that are out there, I think our first vote would be focused on November of 2025. So if you work it back from that date, that's the date that we have to have everything done by, what MML says is that it takes about 3 months for the governor and the AG to review their stuff. So if you back that up, you're probably looking at around July of 2025, and then there's typically, I believe, 8 months that are spent on the actual work on the document itself. You back that up, you're looking at around December of '24, this December, and then you have typically they were talking about 3 to 6 months for fact gathering, working with the community. That would give us that amount of time, maybe a little bit more. So with that in mind, then you plug in everything else. Can we get it all done? I think the calendar that we put together for this year, is basically the time that we would have set aside for the fact finding. Now, that said, I don't want anyone saying that, oh, Jeffrey said that we're going to cut off the public comment in December. No, we will still have that, and that will continue during the whole process, but the focus would change more toward working on the document. And also in the material, it indicates that the big decision about form of the government, whether it's a strong mayor or charter manager form of government, you might want to tackle that issue first, because that's going to really determine how you look at the charter and the revisions that you're going to make. That's probably the thorniest issue, may not be, but I think it is. And so with all of that in mind, this was just brought forward so we can start putting together that time frame and timeline, because the biggest thing that the MML says is that commissions get behind on time very easily, and you have to stay on task. And that was the purpose behind this. So, Commissioner Lopez.
Yep. On the on the chapters that may not need a lot of change, I want to make sure that the language is reviewed. There's some old language in the charter that needs to be updated. So I don't want to just let any chapter go by without at least checking the language, and that it's up to date and up-to-date designations for persons with disability and other things. But we need to update that terminology.
Commissioner Boyd?
I just have a question on process. So I hear what the clerk is saying in terms of we have this chart. Who will make those presentations? And if we decide as a commission that we want to have a different, order in terms of review, like maybe we won't put the mayor issue up front, how do we do that? I mean, who will make those presentations and all that?
I think in
It's
the
a question
past,
I have.
yeah, from what I understand in the other commissions, and this is some conversations we can have, is that the commission sat down and did a line-by-line review of each line in the charter. It's going to be very tedious, and we've all got to get together. Well, this, we're in the fact-finding phase, but we'll have 8 months, hopefully, for working on the charter itself. Commissioner Company.
I just wanted to piggyback on what she said. Is it on? Oh. Piggyback on what she said, or what you said too. Doing a line item or article, even breaking it down by article in each paragraph. A lot of that stuff, again, without bringing it to light, pronouns and all that is going to be the same.
Mhm.
So I think that those parts we'll be able, the body of it, to go through quickly. But are we going to address all of those articles together at our meeting, or how will we do that so that that time does not get away from us?
Well, I think we should calendar out
Right.
when we're going to do these things. And I think the chart that the clerk's office put together, we could work off that in terms of putting it on a calendar, saying these days we're going to do this and this and this and this. And I think when you go through the charter, if you're going to do a line by line, you're going to find that, one article relates somehow to another article, and there's going to be some jumping back and forth to it. But yeah, we can put that process together and we can calendar it all out. Yep. Commissioner Washington.
Thank you, Chair. Jeffries, you know as well as I do that this stuff takes a long time. We've gone through ordinances, we've gone through, Commissioner Bauer knows. I am going to say it right now. We have been allotted 90 meetings. I do not think our schedule is going to give us enough time to get the work done. And I'm going to put that right out front. I think we're going to find we're going to have to do it more than every other week with the fact-finding and going line by line, because I agree with Commissioner Lopez. We need to go line by line. And there's so much at issue. I'm everywhere, so I know what the people are talking about. I know what's happening in our community, and I know what people are saying they want. But we have issues such as, how does an advisory board work? How does a commission work? Do we need all those advisory boards? And if they have no real authority, why do we have them? And the mayor, and do we do away with the at-large positions? There are some things such as business manager or elected mayor that we could do before all of the presentations. We don't need anybody to give us a presentation. I'm sure I've certainly researched both. So I would encourage all of us to do our research at home, how other charters are working and what they say, and we can bring that to the table. We don't have to wait to have people come and tell us. We can do our research.
Yeah, and again, I think calendaring this out, that's going to give us the focus, and it's going to also tell us if we're not meeting the mark, if we're getting behind, we're going to have to make adjustments. Vice Chair.
Yes, I agree with calendaring the schedule out for each chapter and going line through line. But as commissioners, I feel that we should be doing our homework. So, for instance, if we deal with Article 1 at the next meeting, we should come with our own ideas for Article 1. If there's no corrections, then we just move forward. Hopefully, everyone's read the charter.
Commissioner Bauer.
I'm just really struggling, though, with having been involved, a lot in city government, how much we need to hear, like the fact-finding first, which fact-finding to me is hearing from groups and people, or if we can, I guess we could just go ahead and begin, and then know that we could at any time go back. We may find information as we go along. I'm looking at like internal and external audits. We have to have a discussion with people who know about that topic. I even though I was involved years ago with City Council, I don't know enough about how that works. So I agree. It's to our chair and vice chair and clerk. This is a big undertaking. Get this scheduled so that it makes sense.
Okay. All right, we'll work to bring forward some sort of calendar maybe at the next meeting in terms of scheduling out all of the work that's going to have to get done on the revision part of it. And that's just another piece of the puzzle that we've got to put in place. So with that, next item, Mr. Clerk.
I believe we're to commissioner remarks.
I'm not hearing it. Oh, Commissioner
I hate to
Boyd.
say it, but I brought it up in the last section about a Facebook policy and a spokesperson and all that good stuff. So I'm just wondering where you all are on that issue.
Commissioner Washington.
Thank you. Commissioner Boyd is talking about my Facebook page. I mistakenly put that Commissioner Lopez recommended that we have 4 community meetings, and I didn't say we voted on it. So that's what she had to correct me on. And I will tell you, nobody is going to tell me what I can put on my Facebook page. It's a First Amendment right, and if you want to talk to our city attorney, we can do that.
Commissioner Anderson.
I don't have a comment on that specifically, but I do think that it's really beneficial when we talk about getting public input and community engagement, discussing how community actually knows about what we're doing and when we're doing it. And I do think that it would be beneficial for the Charter Commission to have its own designated Facebook page that has like official notices of when our meetings are, links so that people can find the agenda and the minutes. As well as possibly even streaming live on Facebook. We already stream live on YouTube. It's just an extra click of a button so that people have more access to the work that we're doing. People don't scroll on YouTube to find live videos. They have to know that it's happening in order to go to it. And so I think just being really aware of what that looks like and how to reach people, it's 2024. So I think that it would be really, really beneficial to look into that further.
Commissioner Boyd, and then
That's fine. The only other thing I mentioned was I questioned who our spokesperson will be for this commission, so I'd add that to the list of things to be discussed.
Commissioner Cowie.
I guess the question I have with that is, who would be the administrator of that? Because, again, when you have a Facebook page or any social media thing, if it's not going to be administered by the clerk, and I'm not sure if they do anything, who would be the administrator or administrators of carrying that and also making sure that that information gets out?
Clerk Swope, do you want to respond?
Yeah.
Sure. One thing to be aware of, if the commission has a Facebook page, and if that page is for providing information, I think we can maintain that. If that page allows comments, then it's my understanding that we cannot remove any comments because that does get into First Amendment territory. So, we would want to know whether you want a Facebook page where anyone can say anything, or where it is the commission providing information to the public. So we'd need that very clear clarification from the commission, I guess. Those are the 2 main things that.
I have Vice Chair Adam Simon.
The question to Commissioner Boyd saying who was the spokesperson. The chair of the commission is the spokesperson for the commission.
Commissioner Boyd, and then Anderson.
I agree with the vice chair. I think you are the best person to be the spokesperson, and I would defer to you on all of that. As for a Facebook page, I think in terms of the administration, it could be whoever who does the website. It basically is doing the Facebook page, and why can't it just be a follow without a place for comment like you would have for any organization? Are you following this? Are you not following this? I don't suspect that we would need to have a place for people to have comment, but I think it's this is the official page. What happened at a meeting? What's on the agenda? When are the community meetings? All of that good stuff. There's plenty to say on a Facebook page.
Commissioner Anderson.
So I have a couple things. One is, I think personally I'm okay either way if we allow comment. Same with the YouTube streaming, people can comment on those and those comments aren't removed. On the city Facebook page, comments are on there. I don't see the harm in having them on there, and people can come here and comment the same things that they can comment on Facebook. So it's really one and the same to me. But I guess I would just like more clarification on, I guess, your reasoning for asking for who the spokesperson is, as if like we are not allowed to post on our personal socials about what's going on. Or is that what you're getting at? Or I'm just looking for clarification, I guess.
Commissioner Boyd?
What I would think is like we talked about public notices, City Pulse is here tonight. City Pulse is going to want to talk to somebody about what we talked about tonight. I think the chair is the person that should be speaking on behalf of this commission. Now, I get what you're all saying about Facebook page, and it is a freedom of speech, and it's a First Amendment right, but I don't want to be the Facebook police. And I will be. I've asked those of you who have Facebook pages, I've asked to be your friends. I'm going to look at what you're posting. And if you're posting stuff that's accurate, fine. But if you're posting things that are not accurate, I'm going to challenge you. And I don't want to have to do that. So.
Commissioner Anderson?
I guess, that's fine for you to be the Facebook police, I guess. But I think you do want to be the Facebook police. We are entitled to post whatever updates we want with the constituents and the residents of Lansing, the people who support us, just like City Council does. They all post updates and things from their personal pages, from their campaign pages, and they're allowed to do that. They all speak to the media as they choose without the council president. I don't see this as any difference. I guess that's the part that I'm missing.
I don't disagree with a thing you're saying, except I think what we should say should be accurate. And what I'm talking about are things that are not accurate. Okay? I see Councilman Costas here tonight. I read his Facebook page all the time. I learn stuff. Same with Councilman Hussein. I follow them. I love reading their stuff. I used to be very, up at Mackinac Island a lot, and when council would meet, their council person would add on Facebook everything that happened at the meeting. I enjoyed that greatly. But if it's not accurate, then I have a problem with it. That's all I'm saying.
Commissioner Washington?
Thank you, Chair Jeffries. Bless your heart. If you've got time to do that, you go, girl. I would, to Commissioner Anderson's point, anybody can talk about the commission. Anybody can talk to the media. We are all elected officials. I have always deferred to the chair or the president of council if it's a controversial issue. But if we're just discussing, any one of you has a right to talk to anybody.
I just wanted to second that, and I do believe it's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing sitting on one or the other city boards, when they have to come to city council or anything that is a official thing, the chair would be our spokesman. The chair would be our spokesman or the vice chair if he could not make it. So any of us can talk in any avenue on what we do as commissioners, but when we're talking about anything that is documented or to give an update, it would be the chair. So does that clarify that better? All right.
Commissioner Dow?
And I just wanted to clarify for all of us here, let's have a level of respect with one another. There's a difference between something that's correct or incorrect versus a feeling about something. And if there's a feeling that's not the same, calling that out to each other. I just don't want us to see us get messy in any way on social media. I think that leads to folks lacking trust in what we're going to do. And so when we put this in front of the voters, and if they think that it's been a messy process, we're less likely to have this pass. So social media can be great, but it can also wreck things. So I think we just all need to have a code of ethics when it comes to that.
Well said. Vice Chair?
I just want to say we can disagree with each other, but we can respectfully disagree with each other.
Okay. On that note, and hearing no other comments, we stand adjourned.
If you want a tour, parking tour.
WFUM 91.1 Flint, WRSX 91.3 Port Huron, WLNZ 89.7 Lansing,